is up, guys? Welcome back to, what are we on again?
Roof Talk.
Yeah, that's right. Roof Talk. Welcome back to Roof Talk. Today, it's kind of our officially episode 1, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about kind of just, like we said last week, meet the host. So myself, Grant as a co-host of mine, and then we brought on Isaac today just as I don't really know what Isaac is. He's kind of
I'm just here to filler. I'm just a filler.
He's a filler. So
I'm watching the comments.
You're
on
watching
Facebook.
the live.
I'm watching.
Yeah.
We're live on Facebook and we're live on some other platforms.
Yeah.
But I'm watching the comments. So any kind of comments that you guys have, pop them in the comments. Or questions that you guys have, pop them in the comments. I'll look at them, and if there's any kind of brief pause in between, conversation, we'll get those questions asked for you guys.
Yeah, so Isaac, we'll each week we're gonna have 3 people on, more than likely to be myself, Grant here, and then we'll have our guest. So today Isaac is technically our guest, but obviously he works here at Daniels Roofing. Today we're gonna be Grant. It's gonna be kind of a Q&A style. Grant's gonna interview me a little bit, give you some backstory. I don't really actually know what he's gonna be asking entirely, so we're gonna kind of wing it a little bit, talk about ourselves, and hopefully set the tone for moving forward with our guests. You know who we are, and then obviously we'll start introducing our guests. So stay around for the end.
Yeah.
We're gonna shout out our first official guest
We're excited about it.
on Roof Talk. Yeah, so we're
excited about it.
We already have a whole list put together. So
Waiting on a couple people to text me back on their dates. If you're
I mean,
watching,
we're almost
please
booked
respond. So
We're almost booked through the end of the year already with our guests, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's kind of get into it a little bit, and let's talk about ourselves, which is not my
hi, Casey.
Miss Casey King.
most favorite thing to
What's
do.
up, Casey?
Miss Casey King popped in. Is this roof specifically or personal too? Hi, Grant.
Hi.
Happy birthday. Everybody say happy birthday
Hey,
to
yeah,
Grant.
it's Grant's birthday.
Yeah.
Today's Grant's birthday today, so it's
Let's
his
go.
birthday.
Big
33.
33,
Yeah, the
my
big 33.
goodness.
Yeah.
Grant is officially the elder on the podcast.
Yeah. Old. When you wake up in the morning, your back cracks, your knees hurt, when life's getting rough. Had to
I
get-
like not being the oldest well, I guess Diana technically is the oldest. but-
Diana's
Well, we
definitely.
we don't talk about that though. That's a sore subject.
Oh,
But
man.
yeah, and you gotta get glasses. Things are starting to go downhill.
Yeah, dude,
so.
I can't wear mine for the podcast.
No, I
which kinda
know.
sucks, but-
Yeah.
Glare.
So let's get this thing started. I'm just gonna kind of ask Anthony some questions. We're gonna get the owner's perspective, his story on, how he became the owner of Daniels Roofing. So, what led you into roofing? Did you grow up around it? Did you discover, it later in life? What's your backstory and how you ended up here at Daniels Roofing?
Yeah, and I know we know a lot of each other's story.
Yeah.
This is more for the people at home,
Yeah.
but there's some stuff we don't know. I know, but for me, I didn't grow up around roofing. I actually worked with the roofing crew whenever I was 16.
Yeah.
I worked for a guy at Advance, your hometown. So, but I worked for a guy there in Advance doing some roofs for 2 summers, and let me tell you, it was an experience to say the least. He was a hard worker, and that was a tough job.
Yeah.
Roofing it's a very, very hard job. That's kind of the only experience I had roofing, up until actually buying into Daniels Roofing.
Yeah.
So, here about, I guess it's been 3 years?
3.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
Yeah, about 3 years ago. I was in the healthcare field before. I was a nurse. I was doing that. I went through college. Straight A's all through college. I wanted to go in the medical field. I wanted to help people.
Right.
So I was pushing for that. And then I started doing some real estate on the side. I was doing flips and a couple. I bought a dozen or so rentals. And then somehow I met Daniel. We crossed paths.
Along the way.
Yeah. So we started talking, and just one day randomly, I was helping him out there at his lake.
Yeah.
And Daniel was like, "Hey, I'm tired."
Yeah, I bet.
He's like, "Hey, we've been killing it in the roofing space. We've made a pretty big impact, but this thing is growing beyond what I can handle." He's like, so Daniel told me, he's like, we're faced with one of 2 things: either I have to close the doors, or I got to find some help.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool. I didn't really think a whole lot of it. Well, that night I went home and I was, thinking about it a little bit. I was like, you know what? The nursing thing is cool. This was like right at the end of the pandemic.
Right.
Kind of on the back
God.
end.
That was rough.
Everything was
That
rough,
was
bro.
COVID. I mean, that's
Yeah,
rough.
yeah.
You know.
So the back end of the pandemic, I was tired. I was working 12-hour shifts. I was up at Barnes, driving back and forth every day.
Yeah.
And I just recently had, my first kid, Trip.
Yeah.
So he was a little baby, and I wasn't getting to spend the time with him that I wanted to because I was gone a lot.
Right.
But Daniel mentioned that, and I was like, you know what? I'm tired of the nursing thing. Maybe I could. I have some background in doing real estate, and I was like, you know what? I'll give it a try. So
Yeah.
we went back and forth, and eventually I bought in. So I mean that's kind of how it all started for
Right.
me. And I didn't really know exactly what I was getting myself into at the time, to be honest with you. But
No, I don't think anybody.
it was-
Yeah, I don't think everybody. I mean, everybody sees the roofs we put on,
Yeah.
right? They see the finished product, but they don't realize there's 15 different people involved in a roofing company outside of the installers. Just moving parts all day long. So that kind of leads me to into my next question. So
Yeah.
after you purchased the roofing company, or bought into the roofing company in the earlier days, what were maybe some of your biggest challenges as a new business owner in a space that was, brand new to you? I mean, so
Yeah. So when I first, like I said, when I bought in, I didn't know what I was
Yeah.
getting into, and
Complete career change, I would say.
Yeah,
mean,
so
yeah.
it was kind of a 360 from what I was doing for a career, but I was in the doing real estate too. So
Little
Right.
flippers,
I had gutted things down to the studs and started from scratch on a couple projects, and that was over a decade time. So it wasn't like I just got into it.
yeah.
So I knew construction. I knew a lot of it's self-taught. I got around some other people, but when I bought in, Daniel and he warned me. He was like, "Hey, you don't know, this is a crazy animal that you're about to get into."
Yeah.
And it really was. When we bought in, we were doing probably 1-2 roofs a day when I bought in,
Chill.
which is a lot. I was
Yeah.
used to seeing people. I
Back
had,
then, I would say.
I would say yeah.
I would say that back then. I would
Yeah,
say
For
So
the
that's how we
average, for
started.
the average
Yeah.
company, I would say yes.
so I didn't know what to expect. I had rentals and I brought companies out like these fly-by-night people, and it would take them a week to do a roof for me.
yeah.
And then one day I did hire Daniel's Roofing to do a roof on one of my it was a flip of mine, which actually that flip is what I used to buy Daniel's Roofing, interesting enough. So that's kind of how I
Yeah.
met Daniel, and they did that roof, and I showed up at noon that day.
So you double paid is what you're
Is
saying?
that what it is? Is that-
Double dip?
Yeah. So yeah, I was used to a roof taking 3 days to do, and
Yeah.
I showed up,
Yeah.
and this was not a small roof by any means. I showed up around lunch to check on progress, like I always do, and usually whoever was working on it's like, "Hey, can you run and grab me some materials?" or "We're short on this," or "There's some kind of problem."
Yeah.
And I showed up at noon, and they were done. They were gone.
Yeah.
Roof was great, looked great. And I'm like, "What in the world?" Like, y'all showed up today, and this is a big roof. And you're gone.
Yeah.
I was like, I
Did
guess
they
everything
quit?
went. Well,
They're
the
like,
roof was
"Nah."
done, so I was just blown away.
Yeah.
So whenever the opportunity came for me to buy, I was like, sweet, I can jump on board with that because I believe in what you guys are doing.
Well, I mean, you've seen it firsthand.
Yeah,
On-
you
on
were a
yeah,
customer.
on a-
That's cool.
yeah,
you
you
were
were
a
a
customer
customer
first
first, yeah.
before you were an owner, which is really cool. I like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. So
Yeah.
for me, I was already a believer. Now there was obviously
There's always challenges.
Yeah, there was so many hurdles in the beginning, So when I bought in, Daniel showed me the ropes, and then he kind of just said, "Hey, here,
Yeah.
have fun." He retired within about 2 weeks. He actually went to Poland and left me alone for like a month and a half.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
And I was like, I don't know what in the world I'm doing.
Yeah.
So-
Honestly, though, I think that's probably the best way to learn.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
in college, they're like, oh, you need to read this book and write a book report, and do you really learn anything after doing that? I think learning is just hands-on experience.
That's the better
I
way
feel like
to
that's the
learn.
quickest way to learn.
Yeah.
I mean, you can watch videos and read books or whatever, but I think just getting thrown into the fire most of the time is, you're going to learn things that you shouldn't do
We've learned
quickly,
a lot of those.
costly, and then
Yeah,
you got
yeah.
things that, there's some things that work out, and on this, I think it did. And, to see where we're at now, I think is crazy, but that kind of leads me to the next segment of, this questionnaire. I think culture is a big part of any company. And when you are growing a company, you're trying to find like-minded people and bring values into that company where that all align and you all have one vision and you believe in that vision. What were some of those values and visions that you had in your mind for this company whenever you bought in and became the owner?
Yeah, a lot of it. A lot of when I think values and the things I try to implement and for myself and the company kind of starts when I was young. I grew up in. I know we're kind of talking about ourselves, so I'll back up a little bit. I grew up, relatively poor.
Yeah.
I lived in a single wide mobile home growing up until like age 20.
Yeah.
I had great parents. They both worked their butts off, so
Yeah.
they were never without a job. They kind of always had their stuff together. At least that's what I saw.
Right. Oh yeah.
It seems like they always kind of had it together. And growing up, my dad always, he worked me. So if they had projects around
Your
the
dad?
house,
I would never guess that. I'd never guess so Henry
Yeah,
did that. No.
he worked on the farm. So any chance he got, if we needed a deck built, we didn't call and
Yeah.
get a quote. Like we built it ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
We built a shop. We built it as a family.
Yeah.
So growing up, I always did well in school. I was a straight A student, and a lot of that was my mom pushing me to do well in school, and I had that pressure.
Yeah.
But my dad was always like, hey man, unless you want to work at this farm with me for the rest of your life, breaking your back, it's like you're gonna have to use your brain and you're gonna have to work hard and use your brain a little.
All right.
So that's kind of always how I formulated everything. I was set from a young age to work hard. Work hard, ask for help when I needed it. Don't be afraid to ask for help, obviously.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the money, so we always had to, work hard and use ourselves and my brain, to kind of push myself forward.
Right.
So when I bought into Daniels Roofing, it was very similar. I was like, all I knew was, put my head down, work, do the things that are necessary, regardless of the cost.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, those early days.
I know
was-
that's been your motto since
Yeah,
since,
I mean,
I've been going on.
do-
Since I've been
Yeah.
That's
Doing
so-
what's
I've heard
right.
you say that a lot.
You know,
no
doing
matter
what's
what
right.
the cost is.
Yeah.
I've heard you say that a
like
lot.
it's like, hey, I got a job to do. I have an obligation. I'm gonna, I'll do it.
Right.
So those early days, those were 16-hour days, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So like I said before, I got out of nursing because I wanted to spend more time with family, and then I bought into Daniels, and I was there at home. I was working at our kitchen table, for that first probably year and a half.
Yeah.
Right there at my kitchen table, but they were 16-hour days. It was a day after dark. I'd eat dinner and I'd keep working.
Yeah.
And that's a lot, how you came about, because I got to the point where I was like, hey, Daniels Roofing has grown. We were going from one roof a day to maybe two to, we can do 3 a day now. And
Yeah.
we're doing, other things like gutters and different things. And it got crazy. It is just like, I had like 17 open tabs, which is still kind of similar, but
Yeah.
it was just like, I was doing the job of 10 people with myself.
Long hours. So
Yeah,
so in
yeah.
a sense, it was almost taken away from your family. I mean, you were home, but you weren't present, right?
Yeah, no, that's
I would,
know.
I would
very,
say,
very true.
I would say, which is, I mean, you did it perfectly. In my opinion, a lot of people can easily look at that, but on that, whenever you were like, hey, I want to change something so that you can spend more time with your family. But here's how that goes. Life requires sacrifices so that you can stay home. Like today, I mean,
sure.
you could go home right now and spend all day long with your wife and your kids. And honestly, that is what I would say. A lot of the people that I have been around in my life and my other previous jobs, that's the goal for
Most people.
I would say, but with all things, everything comes with time and everything comes with sacrifice. So
Yeah. I would say as a guy, we're kind of hardwired to be providers.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw that from my parents, early on. That's what they did. They worked, they provided. They gave us everything they had, even when they didn't have anything. And I've always, growing up, I've always been super thankful for that.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that. But I was like, for my kids, I want to be able to give them more than what I had.
Yeah.
And I didn't want them to have to worry about, only getting clothes on the holidays.
Yeah.
That's what we look forward to, getting a fresh pair of clothes on
When we were
Christmas.
kids, yeah.
I was like, I need some clothes
You got
for
one
school.
pair of school shoes.
So I wanted to give my kids all of that, but
you know.
now outside of business, now my problem is teaching the same hardworking values to my children.
Yeah.
Because now they don't know. My kids don't know what money is. you
Yeah,
know?
no. I mean,
they're just like
they're
everything's
young.
free to them.
Yeah,
and they,
they're
if
young,
they
yeah.
want something, I'm in a position now through Daniels Roofing to give them whatever they want. I mean, obviously we could do better and do more, and that's what we're striving for every day. But I'm in a position now with the help of all you guys to where I can sit at home for a whole week if I want to.
Or
And
two.
you guys just keep killing it. So
We're going on a Harley ride.
yeah, go to Sturgis.
go
for 2
go on
weeks.
Sturgis for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that was terrible.
So looking back, after you've been in the business, what is, what's one thing, if you had to take away one thing that you wish you would have known before you bought the company? Like,
Yeah.
what is something that you would have, liked to have known beforehand?
Yeah, I would say, honestly, I should have hired probably help sooner.
Yeah.
Because I was, going forward, I was always kind of a do-it-myselfer, and I still am. I struggle with that sometimes to let go of the responsibilities.
Yeah.
Because you always look at it and like you can never expect someone to do the stuff as good as you
Right.
or
To your standards.
yeah, not even just standards. Like you have certain ways of doing stuff, and we good. Mic check, mic check, everyone. Have certain ways of doing things, and you have certain expectations, and sometimes you look at yourself and you're like, I'm the only one that can deliver on that.
Right.
Right.
And that's not always the truth. You got to rely on others, and that's one thing I wish I would have done is probably got some help sooner, because we blew up so fast.
Yeah.
Daniel laid the path from like 2015 here in Missouri through
When you
was it
bought it?
2022,
2021.
2021.
somewhere in there when I bought
I
it.
came in April of 22, so you had just bought it in 21.
Okay, so like right at a year, I finally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say probably just get help sooner.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to market. And I was never the type to post on Facebook or anything like that before.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I bought in, I was like, okay, now I got to post every day. And then I had like close friends of mine, reaching out and saying, hey, bro, like you're posting so much. This is crazy. Like I don't even want to look at your stuff because you post so
Right.
much. And
That's
I,
okay.
yeah, and I'm very
That's okay.
It's okay.
extremely unapologetic about that.
No.
So that's one thing that Daniel actually taught me.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't afraid to put himself out there, and I was always a little, and I still am nervous. It's something I'm working on. Like even doing the podcast.
I mean, yeah, this is out of our comfort zone, but
For sure.
I think when you talk about hiring people that's going to care as much about the company as you
Yeah.
do, I think that circles back to our cultures and value of
Yeah.
Daniels Roofing, and the our roles that we hold within the side of company, we all take very seriously, and I think that's a part of the reason why we've been able to scale our business like we have. I mean, most people
Yeah.
kind of get hung up on, what are others going to think if I do this, or what are others
Yeah.
going to think if I do that. And at the end of the day, especially like the older I get, since today's my birthday, I'm getting old. You realize that it doesn't matter what people think, because you're never going to make everyone happy.
Yeah.
Somebody's
Oh,
not
for
going to. You
sure.
could
There's
you
no
could
way.
you could donate $1 million to somebody, and they're going to be say, "Why didn't you do two?" And it's just like, dang,
Hey,
bro.
we
So it's just wild how. I don't think that you should ever hold back or not ever go after something out of being scared or anything like
Yeah.
that, because that's an opportunity missed,
For sure.
Because, I mean, what if you wouldn't have came into this company and you just stayed nursing and got in another car wreck,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and
so-
touching on that, the day I decided to buy in, it was one of those deals where I was like, it was a what if,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, what if I don't do this, and then I just missed out on this massive opportunity.
Our stories are similar on that aspect.
Yeah, and I went all in. When I bought in, I gave every dollar I had.
Yeah.
The beauty of it is, I knew I kind of had something to fall back on, but I've never been like a Plan B type fella.
Right.
I'm always like, let's just go forward and figure. I didn't know what I was doing, so I was just like, let's just figure this out.
Right.
I went all in. I gave every dollar I had and said, hey, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
And try to do the best we can. And we've
Right.
grown this thing into an absolute monster here.
It's a lot bigger than I think people probably realize.
I don't think, because
you
people
know,
that
I mean,
aren't
they just-
familiar with us,
yeah.
they see some Facebook posts, but it's like we don't even post. And we post the roofs, but there's like 50% more work that's happening
Yeah.
Yeah.
that people don't even see, like
Yeah.
gutters and soffit fascia and like siding and like all these little
All
things.
your repairs, all the. Yeah.
People don't see that, and we're doing. I mean, we're just we've been blessed.
And
you
I
know,
would
help.
say for one job, it would require.
You'd have to have a social
30
media person.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
handle it. I mean, because
It's a
honestly,
lot.
it would just take it would take a day. Every day that should be their job would be come in and catch up on the days before work.
For sure,
Because
yeah.
we're no longer doing 1-2 roofs a day. I mean, when we're booming, we're talking maybe 4 roofs, 5 roofs a day.
Just to keep up.
And that's
so people aren't
most of the
calling
time
us saying,
6 days a week. And
Yeah.
people don't realize, it on our end on the sales side, it takes a lot of sales to produce for the production team to make
Yeah.
that happen.
Yeah, and so you kind of run run the sales,
Yeah.
right? So I guess we'll kind of pivot a little bit, and what brought you into the roofing industry, and kind of what were you doing, similar to me, what were you doing prior to really getting started here at Daniels Roofing?
We kind of have similar backgrounds in a way.
Mm-hmm.
We both grew up in small country towns.
Little blips on the map?
I'd say
Little blips.
Yeah, I would say lower class. Definitely wasn't a millionaire by any means. But my background was I went to college. We went to college together. That's how we met. Anthony and I, we went to SEMO together. So we've known each other for many years.
A little while, yeah.
after
We were
college.
very different career paths, but
Yeah, I mean, I was business and you were nursing, so we never had a class together really, but you know, we knew each other. You know, it's not hard to know each other in small southeast
Yeah.
Missouri, but
there's 10 people in your hometown.
You know, so I went the business route, and then I got into roofing honestly back in like 17. I started selling for Reed's Metals in Scott City. Now it's Fortify. So that was
Awesome
one-
background to have too for aerospace.
and metal is a whole different animal outside of shingle. Like there's so many
We know.
components. There's so many components, you know. But
It sucks.
you know, I got hired there as a sales rep, and I learned a lot there. I wasn't just selling metal roofs; I was selling pole barns and red iron buildings, and
Yeah.
you know, and I think that kind of got me into it, and then. That company sold actually, and
Yeah.
so I ended up going and working construction, and so that's where I was when you and I had kind of reconnected on I think we had talked about maybe me being a sales rep for you guys, and
Yeah.
so I did. I came on board as sales, and then I was still working construction, doing asphalt, paving interstates, county
How's that?
roads.
How's that?
That was brutal. I don't
Yeah, I
think people
bet.
realize, like, used to as a kid, you'd get punishment, go push mow the yard
Yeah.
or whatever. But I think kids nowadays should go freaking shovel asphalt for 12
Yeah.
hours and see how you feel.
Build some character.
Yeah, it makes you tough. It separates the boys from the men, I promise you.
For sure.
But, I ended up, funny enough, like, your decision was a little kind of like mine, but I ended up having, I got heat exhaustion, heat stroke, whatever you want to call it. And, I had a kid, and I was just like, I don't know that I need to put my body through that type of manual labor anymore. Yes, I was making phenomenal money for me at the time. I thought
It's interesting how your perspective changes.
Yeah,
over
it
the
does
years.
change. Yeah, it does. I
Yeah.
thought
What good
then I was
money is.
making good
Dang
money.
good money.
Yeah.
And I was. I mean, it is great. It's great money. It's a good living and great company. And I love the guys I work with, and I still talk to them today. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's. But then when you approached me about that, I came on board and I sold a few roofs while I was still working asphalt. And
I think I
then,
pestered you for a while.
yeah, and then I had to heat
I was like,
stroke.
bro, I need help. Come save me, dude.
I think I literally called you from the hospital bed and I said, when do you want me to start?
Yeah.
And you were like, how about tomorrow? And this was like on a Friday, and I said, well, Monday morning, where you want me to be? And you're like, well, I guess come to my house and we'll sit at my kitchen table,
Yeah.
because we didn't have an office then.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
we were working there at his kitchen table.
Everything was remote at that
And
point.
I remember
Yeah.
that because you're like, hey, I'll come. And I'm like, oh, crap. I was like, I don't know how to train a sales manager. I don't know anything, dude.
Yeah, and
I don't even know how to be.
I mean,
selling.
Yeah.
And then so getting into shingle roofing, I remember telling you, I was like, dude, I've never sold a shingle roof. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know much about it. And then we just kind of dove in and we went out and got on roofs. And like I said, you just kind of get thrown to the woods
Yeah.
and you learn. And you're going to learn all the components. I mean, don't take me wrong, we flew to a lot of conventions and did a lot of training and learned a lot in a
short
we
amount of time.
had to, because we had no other choice. And
Yeah.
we knew-
Investing. I mean,
you know.
investing in the company and
Yeah.
then investing in ourselves personally.
Yeah.
I think makes a massive impact on our ability to be in the space.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to read like all the Grant Cardone's books
Oh,
and
yeah.
like how sales and like leveling up, and a lot of it's just about
It's a lot of
mind-
mentality. It's a mindset.
It's mostly mindset.
Yeah, I would
Like you
agree.
got to have some know-how, like obviously,
Yeah.
but most of the stuff I think with business in general is just
Having the correct
having a
mindset.
positive mindset and knowing that there's always more, and that you can always do more to be better and kind of push forward. you
Yeah,
know?
and I think that's in life, which we'll get into that later in this podcast.
Yeah.
But
Before we move to our next segment, we have a comment on Facebook by a Miss Krista Mackey.
Let's hear it.
She asked a little bit of multiple questions in this one little paragraph. What was one of the hardest jobs / most time-consuming job you guys have worked on this year? ? What about the company or work to improve on for 2026?
One of the hardest jobs. That's tough because
That's- yeah.
every job's different.
Yeah, and
They're
we've
all
had
unique,
we've had
you know.
dozens of jobs.
We've had
We've had dozens of jobs where we have to bring in like 10 different trades almost to get the some of these flat roofs that we do, or metal roofs. I know Grant said he worked with metal. Some of these metal roofs are challenging, and some
Yeah.
of these flat roof and the commercial jobs are pretty challenging. And we might do with all the storms we had, the trees go through roofs, rip roofs off, and we're coming down and we're setting trusses. We're bringing in drywall people.
Yeah.
We're bringing in
Electrical guys.
yeah, so
I think
all the
there's,
trades. So that's when
you
it
know,
gets challenging.
Yeah.
It's hard to give like one specific example.
One specific job, but I know I can confidently say we've been rocking and rolling, and I can confidently say that our most complex jobs that we have are always the ones that require more people.
Yeah.
You would
Yeah.
think that whenever you require more people, everything's going to go fluid and smooth and all.
Yeah.
No,
There's just much more
not.
moving parts to control.
There's just
Well,
yes.
yeah,
there's
and we can
more-
spend weeks, going back and forth, months for that
Yeah.
matter, going back and forth with insurance companies,
Yeah.
fighting,
3 or 4 months.
fighting for our clients,
Yeah.
make sure they get everything covered, and then bringing in all these trades to get quotes and like
just making
think
sure
it's-
everything is organized. I would say, yeah, the organization.
like
makes-
some of these jobs we did, in Delta,
Yeah.
they got hit really hard this year.
Yeah.
So Chris, I mean, those were some of the toughest jobs we've had to do,
Yeah.
like as a crew, to where we have to do all the trusses and the drywall work and do all these supplements and on and on and on and on. Yeah, so it's hard to give you one job, but
The last question that she has in her little questionnaire that she sent us was, what is something that you will change about the company or work to improve on in 2026?
I'll let you take that one, Grant.
I think we're always striving just to be better. I mean, your number one thing at the end of the day is your customers.
Always.
If your customers, I don't care what industry you're in, customers, you always have a service. You got to have that service or a need that people want.
Provide
and
value,
and you
yeah.
got to provide value to your
Yeah.
customers. And if you don't have good customer, satisfaction, and you're not meeting their needs, then that's an issue. You probably won't last. And I think a reason we've been able to scale the business like we have is because we're urgent. Now, yes, we're human. I mean, do we get behind? Obviously, yes. Everybody gets
Yeah.
behind. But we try to do the best we can. And
Right.
at the end of the day, we truly care about our customers. I mean, we've ate thousands of dollars just to
Thousands.
make it right for people,
For
and
sure.
that's and
Oh man, we've got hammered this year.
yeah, I mean, it's
We
and
got
and
hammered.
sometimes it's just it's out of our control on
Yeah.
how things happen and how they play out. And I get that we may not be the cheapest or get to you the quickest, or if
Yeah.
you can find somebody else. But I can promise you this: when we show up, we're going to do the best that we can for you, and we're going to stand behind our work because we're not going anywhere. Our business is pretty.
Thriving.
Yeah, it's not. We're not moving anywhere. So
Yeah.
we're gonna be here. We're not some fly by the seat of our pants company that's coming in to do your roof and then you call them for a
Yeah.
warranty and they're no longer in business.
Yeah.
I think I could put it this way.
know.
A roofing job is probably the most messiest trade that is. Whenever we go to a customer's house, yes, it is going to be it's a very messy process. But what I tell all of my customers is that whenever I leave the door, and my crew leaves that property, no matter what the case was, we're going to either make it look the way it was before we showed up, or make it
Hey, it's
a lot better
7,
than when we
985.
showed up.
7985.
So that's it's
Everybody
pretty.
knows my passcode on my
It's
phone
pretty.
now.
It's
I'm gonna have to change that.
Gotta be serious here, guys. Come on now. Come on.
have to change
It's
that.
tough to keep all that organized because it's a massive project and a massive process and a messy process. But we keep. I think that is, I would say, one of our main goals for next year is to keep doing what we're doing on the cleaning process and the customer service process and all that.
I mean,
it's a
we're
lot.
always gonna try to be competitive in our pricing and all that too. We're just trying to give you a full, complete package because
For sure.
that's. Our
Hopefully,
main
we
goal.
answered that question for you.
Yeah,
Krista,
for
good.
sure.
Yeah.
I appreciate.
If you guys
hey, we
have
do,
anything else, just pop it in.
Yeah.
I'm keeping an eye on the comments. So
Yeah,
if
we
any
appreciate it.
questions on our new guys that are in here, any questions you guys have, throw it in the comments. I'm keeping tabs on that, and whenever we have a brief second through the conversation, we will get that question answered for you guys.
Yeah, appreciate all the questions, guys. So Grant, back to you. Kind of, what's like the most surprising thing that you've seen? Going into the sales manager role, like specifically inside of the roofing space.
I think the amount of time and effort that goes into it, because most of when we're busy in our busy seasons, our guys are out doing bids all day long.
For sure, yeah.
I mean, we might get 50, 60 phone calls a week, 70 phone calls a week, and that means our
During the storms this year, we got
Oh,
like
gosh.
150 in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
know
that's
one
tough.
day. I
Tough
know
to
one
get
day
that.
I approved 57 bids in one day, which was insane. Which was
Yeah.
insane to me. I'll never forget that number.
Yeah,
But
it's
I literally
crazy.
worked from 7 a.m. till 1 a.m. the next morning doing that. But I think it's just it takes a lot of time and energy, which is perfect. I mean, it's fine. It's just. I always tell myself if I was ever in the management position or an owner of a company again or something like that, I don't ever want my reps to have to wait or our customers have to wait on their bid.
Right.
So as soon as I get it for approval, I want to get it back out. And we've done some statistics and we find that we have a 40% higher close rate as
Yeah.
if we get to people quicker, right?
Yeah.
So, so in our head, we're very.
People are going to watch this podcast and like, now you said you'd get the sack within 40 seconds of me calling
I also
you.
said I'm human and I'm doing the
40
best I
seconds,
can.
dude.
I call you, better be here within 40 seconds.
Yeah, no, 40% higher close rate. But yeah, so yeah, that's kind of, really about it. I mean, I kind of knew what to expect because I've been in sales and that was my background, but
Yeah.
it's just a different role,
Yeah,
It
so-
takes energy.
Yeah, that's for sure. So I'm glad you took that kind of off my back a little bit. Which I know we worked.
No days off.
Obviously we work together on that kind of stuff. But from the sales perspective, what have you learned about like leadership, teamwork, or like building relationships? With maybe our like internally and externally, as far
Yeah.
as like helping us succeed and
So internally, I think we're all like a small family in reality here. We all we spend more time together outside of work as well. Like we're here all day together.
yeah.
But then all four of us hop on a phone call every night and talk. So it's
All four of us hop on Fortnite every night, dude.
yeah.
What do you mean?
But I mean,
Fortnite.
as far as what I've learned
funny,
about
dude.
building relationships outside the company, I think that comes back to networking. We
Yeah.
go to chamber events. We've joined every kind of club you can think of.
Yeah.
And just getting out in the community doing things like this weekend. We're going to be in the SEMO District Parade, and then we'll be set up all week at the fair next week.
Yeah, Saturday?
Saturday. It's Saturday.
Saturday.
I tell you what, it's hard to juggle everything going on,
Yeah.
but
It's
because
a
we
lot.
always have like a laundry list of like we have these 15, 30
And
things going on.
I think that if you're not putting in that effort to make new connections and grow your business, and
Yeah.
because you just never know who you're going to run into at these things. I like in our chamber meeting, I ran into a guy that's a locksmith, and I needed a lock change the other day, and I had his number.
Yeah, it's a perfect way to connect with-
It's great networking. you
Yeah,
know?
I will. So I will say, if you haven't been to a chamber event, you should
Yeah.
definitely check that out. The Cape Jackson Chamber. They have a lot of local businesses that want to connect. People are there because they want to connect with each other.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what this podcast is going to be about too, because
Yeah.
we're bringing in those people from like that event
Different industries.
to come and talk. To tell their stories and tell about their business and promote themselves
Right.
within the community. So,
Yeah.
what's something that surprised you the most about being in a sales leadership role?
You got to lead by example, which I knew that, but
That's just about everything.
I don't know that anything necessarily surprised me outside of how lucrative roofing is and
Yeah.
how like I said earlier, I thought I was making good money, right?
Yeah,
and then I see what our guys make, and then we listen to
Yeah, you should see payroll this
yeah,
week.
Bro.
yeah. Well, and then not only that, but like you listen to all these other roofing companies that we meet at conferences, and they're doing $50 million a year. Or they're
Yeah,
doing-
yeah, it's
or we
crazy.
get to sit 18 of us in a room with a guy making $100 million a year. And then you
Yeah.
start picking their brain, and then he gives you his personal cell phone, and you can call him at any time and like, hey man, we're here, we're trying to get to here. What do you suggest? And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, people are just so nice,
Yeah.
and we're human, and we're all rooting for each other. And even though, even our competitors local, like there's enough roofs to go around, I promise.
Yeah.
But we're always learning from each other in our industry. Like we had a training last Friday over insurance in St. Louis, met a
Yeah.
roofing company, and they they were throwing some examples our way on how they do business, and then we were telling them, how we've grown, a significant amount over 3 years, and it's they were like, we're just kind of blown away by each other, right? So. I think networking, bouncing ideas off each other, learning from people who are doing better than you in life,
Yeah.
and I think that's just in general. If you don't surround yourself with people who are better than you in all areas, or have ambition and drive, you're going to stay stagnant, mediocre your whole life.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not going to go anywhere if you're not chasing somebody who's doing better than you.
I would say,
To me, that's what I'm thinking.
I'd say something that I really love about the industry as far as roofing goes, and it's kind of what we're trying to do here,
Yeah.
is, you get around, like you said, in these rooms with the people doing
Crazy.
50 million, 20 million, whatever the number is.
Yeah.
The number doesn't always matter. But for us, we're striving to be better, and we're trying to, reach those accolades. But I love how people in the space are always so willing to give you knowledge for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's what we're wanting to do here. Like, we're wanting to help promote other people and give them knowledge and share knowledge with each other.
Yeah, business tactics,
Exchange time and energy.
Yeah.
And I feel like at a lot of these conferences we go to, people will come, they're like, hey, we're doing 50 million. Well, someone doing 50 million, they're a busy person.
Very busy.
But they'll take the time, and that goes for most of the people in the industry. They'll take the time to sit there and talk with you and say, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's, different perspectives on ways to do something, do things in the space. But to touch on you kind of as a sales manager too, I want you to, I always get a little standoffish a little bit when we start to talk actual numbers.
Yeah.
Especially because in the area, people.
Is that allowed to say?
Yeah, I mean,
Were we allowed to say numbers?
Yeah, I want.
I don't know, dude.
I want Grant. So Grant came on. Like you said, we've been doing a lot of awesome stuff. So we reached a massive milestone this last. We've almost hit it a couple of times.
I think we did.
What is it? What is it? Let's go ahead and
hit
say it.
So
Let's
we've
go
been
ahead and
shooting
say
for
it.
a number. It's not all about the numbers. Obviously we're trying to help people and do the right things but toot your horn a little bit. What's an accolade that we hit? We finally, for sure, without a doubt, crossed that threshold, and we're all pretty excited about this month. You can share a little bit.
I had a couple goals coming into 2025.
Let's hear 'em.
And I tried to set us up for success early and at the end of the year of 2024, right?
Yeah.
I had a few goals. I want us to do an X amount of gross per year. I wanted to grow a certain percentage per year. And then one of my goals was I want to do $1 million in a month as a company. And that's collected dollars, not sales, collected dollars. Well, I can proudly say that we've hit that number twice this year, over $1 million in collected revenue in our company. And, we're on, and
We had
just
a couple reps that month.
We've got 5 reps truly. 3 out of the 5 are already over 1.2 million sold by themselves.
Yeah, something like that.
Collected.
Which, like I said, when you go to these
so-
bigger cities and people are saying 20 million, 10 million, 15 million,
Bro,
Yeah.
Obviously
that's
they're
not
more
our
than that.
market.
No.
Yeah, but for our
It'd be
market,
nice, but it's not.
and maybe we have competitors doing more than that. I don't know. But either way, for us, that was a
Got it.
personal goal we set, and we hit that. So, that's something to be super proud of. I
But
think.
I think a lot of companies, they might hit, especially companies who are in that $1 to $3 million range. And
Yeah.
I think this is a reason that we have been able to do this.
A lot of people get stuck
They
there.
get stuck, and the reason they
Yeah.
get stuck is a couple things, in my opinion, and just from learning from other people. And I think it's a great example of Daniel and you.
Yeah.
You get so overwhelmed that you cannot carry the workload, and you're trying to do it by yourself. But you don't have processes and procedures in place and a system. I think if you stick to your system and win those small goals every week, you set a goal for your sales team and you hit those small goals every week, and that leads to your monthly goal, and then that leads to your yearly goal. As long as you're hitting your goals and staying on track and holding each other accountable to meet where you want to go,
Yeah.
that end number is going to be there. And I think not to I'm not trying to brag, but if you're in business as a company and you don't have goals that are big to get to where you want to be, I don't know why you're in business.
I'm glad that we're talking about
I know
this.
you're
Yeah,
supposed
for
to,
sure.
you're providing a service for people, but I'm just talking strictly from a business aspect.
Yeah.
If you don't want to grow your business and you're okay with just being,
Well, if you're okay with being mediocre and as
That's-
far as growth
yeah.
goes, what are you giving to your clients?
yeah.
If
I'm
you're
glad
okay
that this is
with
getting
just
brought up because we did just get a question as well. This is the perfect topic. Was asked, Mr. David shot us a question. What are the main components that make you successful in your business?
Well, that's easy. I mean, that's processes and procedures all day
Yeah.
long. If
That's
you
not
don't-
a simple answer. I mean, there's never simple answers.
Well,
Yeah.
For me,
There's-
it makes sense because if you're
It's-
not,
it's all the
so
little
much.
things.
if you're not
Yes.
doing all the moving parts correctly,
Yeah,
correctly,
that's the
and
key
if you're
word.
not bidding competitively, and if
Yeah.
you're not constantly on your suppliers for competitive pricing,
Yeah.
So you're
there's-
telling me that
there's
you hit
bunch
$1
of
million
things.
bucks without price gouging your customers?
Yeah, no, I know we're not the cheapest, and I know we're not the most expensive.
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
middle of the road.
We want to
but-
be.
Well, because that's
You know.
so that's always our reservation on sharing numbers.
Yeah.
You say it was like 1.1 or something.
It was
wasn't
almost 1.2, 1.1.
Yes, you do that kind of business, and people might think, and we have nice vehicles because we're proud of ourselves. We want to present ourselves in
payment
professional,
sucks, but
professional ways. But something I always caution, we caution ourselves on sharing our accolades because people are like, oh, well, they must be price gouging. Like, well, no, we're doing 4 roofs a day.
We're doing a massive amount
extremely-
of business.
extremely
Now,
competitively.
if we were doing the business that we were 5 years ago or so, yeah, it'd suck. Maybe a little bit longer than that. And if we were just doing 1 roof a day, you darn tootin'. We wouldn't.
Darn tootin'.
Darn tootin'.
Heard it
We
here
wouldn't. We
first.
wouldn't be
Darn
doing it.
tootin'.
We wouldn't be doing it. So
Yeah,
that's the more business brings that luxury, I guess.
I mean, I just think that overall, you have to have things in place to make the wheel go round. I'm not saying you got to reinvent the wheel. I'm just saying
No.
figure
Work
out
with the wheel.
Figure out what works for you.
Make it work for you.
And what works for your company and how you guys do things, and then be the best that you can be at that specific thing every single day. and it works. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got proven success for 3 years in a row. We've grown our, which maybe I shouldn't say that.
No, go ahead.
I mean,
because that's kind of like
We've
where I'm
roughly
going.
grown our company $2.2 million for the last 3 years, year
Yeah.
after year after
Consistently.
year, consistently.
Consistently.
So what
And I
would
think
you
it's because
say?
of those little things? You know?
What would you say is, moving forward? Which we can both answer this, but we'll both kind of touch on it. What would you say is from a sales perspective is kind of your next, your next goal? Like what's next for Daniels Roofing, and for you and your sales team? What are your
I mean,
what are your
obviously,
goals?
our I'd like to continue to grow our company, but I also want to stay where we're not growing too fast, because then you can have
Yeah.
complications. But I think, after we've talked with multiple, I'm probably 10, 12, 15 roofing companies that are very successful nationwide, they always say once you dominate your market, you can expand. And until you're dominating your market, you don't need to even think about having a second location or implementing a new service or anything. Because until you've mastered that one,
Location.
yeah, you don't need to worry about. So everybody knows we made it public. I mean, we're moving north. We're going to Festus, Arnold area, and I think we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We're going to do exactly what we do
Sticking
here,
to what we've
there.
been doing.
And then that'll generate. It takes time.
And that's something
but,
that's something we've kind of treaded lightly with. We've been talking about moving north for years.
At least
I mean, honestly,
2 years for
yeah,
sure.
it's always been kind of an idea because you're like, well, how do we grow and expand?
Yeah.
And that's always been something that I want to make sure that when it's all about quality control
Yeah.
and making sure that we can give our clients, no matter how far out we go,
Yeah.
make sure we can replicate the processes that we have, and make sure that our clients are getting the catered to experience that they deserve.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that's what it's actually all about.
I'm glad you're speaking on
Our clients need help, and that's what we do. We're there to help.
I'm glad you're speaking on the quality a little bit, because we just got another comment on our Facebook Live. Krista popped in again and said, "Great answer from her previous answers. We moved into our house, and another roofing company put on a new roof, and still 2 months after being moved in, we are still finding roofing nails on our property."
That could be a couple of things. I mean, they could be in your gutters, washing out your downspouts. They
Yeah,
just
yeah.
missed them on the pickup, and and it's like us. We do the best that we can, and I'm going to be very transparent. We do the best we can. We have magnets that are 2-3 foot wide, on
Rolling
wheels.
magnets,
They
yep.
roll around,
Oh,
and them
yeah.
guys get down on their hands and knees, literally in flower beds.
It is tough.
and pick it up.
It is hard.
And I'm not going to say we get every single nail, because that'd be lying. Nobody
They try.
gets every
Those
single nail.
guys will make
But-
15 laps around
But
that.
we try, and we do the best we can. So you could have that, or I pray that your roof's not just coming off. But
No, I wouldn't think. I mean, you never know. You would have shingles
But
popping,
I think it's probably just, they've missed some. And they're probably just washing out your gutters and downspouts, unless your drains are
As
in the
much,
ground,
as much as we'd love to be like, yeah, no, they don't know what they're doing. They didn't pick up nails, blah blah blah. No, that every roofing company is going to face that obstacle on. It's thousands of nails, people. It is thousands of nails. Think about it.
Tons.
If every shingle on your roof, and that depends on how big your roof is, but each shingle should have 3 to 6 nails on per shingle.
Yeah, we can do the math. You got 6 nail. You got
I mean, it would
50 shingles per bundle. 15 shingles. I'm just joking.
I don't know. That's a lot of math. I
You
don't
got
think
a,
I'm
you got a
gonna
20
do.
square roof. How many nails is that?
It's
a lot.
it's tens of thousands of nails. I would comfortably say. So
Yeah, I'm not
it's-
sure on that number.
It's definitely a challenge to go through and have to take care of all of those. Make sure that they're all picked up. But here's actually the better question that I would follow that up. What did that other roofing company do?
What's up, guys? Sorry about that. We had a little bit of technical difficulty.
Just a smidge.
That's a hard one to get out.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That's a tough one to get out.
difficulties.
Well, we'll just try to.
We're gonna hop back in where we.
Yeah, we're going to have to fire our camera guy, dude.
yeah.
He didn't charge the camera. No, we'll kind of hop back in where we were. We had a customer, message on the Facebook Live here, and they asked, what do you do when you have your roof put on? There's nails everywhere.
Yeah, she was just telling us her experience, because I believe from I remember the comment on the question was she just got her roof put on, and she had to deal with a bunch of nails in her yard, and I believe she said one of them was she got stuck on one of her tires as well, which. Yeah, that sucks. But here's the problem with that: every roofing company is going to deal with this, because whenever you're taking off
a roof, you have to keep track of all those thousands and thousands and
Thousands,
thousands
yeah.
of nails.
Yeah. And Daniel said what there's like 7,200
7,200
on
per
a typical roof.
No,
something like that.
per
Per
box.
box.
Per box, and I think a normal typical roof is going to be about 4 boxes, give or take a roof. So I mean, do the math. I don't want to do it. but
Yeah,
that's
he
a
did.
lot.
He did the math.
It's like
so
a lot.
Shout out to Daniel for
on
doing that math. And
But the main question that I would be asking is, what did that roofing company do? If you didn't bring the issue up to them, then hey, that's on you. But I have had some customers, hey, your crew accidentally forgot a little pile of nails or a couple nails here and there. I am sending that crew out there immediately and getting that taken care of. You know, I can't stress that enough, because I want to leave that property with that property being in either as good a shape as it was before I touched it or better. And that's kind of the point, is better, because you're having a new roof. So
yeah, and I'll say there's, you touch on what do you do when you have that problem. So we have. That has happened.
I mean, yeah.
The guys go, I know we've said it, the guys go around with their magnets and they go crazy with it. And then maybe there's a rain that comes through and a nail washes out onto the driveway. Well, client backs over it, get a flat tire.
yeah.
We've
It sucks. It's not the end of the world, but
yeah, and in that case, it's one of those things. We apologize. We admit our faults, that we're human.
Yeah.
Try to do better, obviously moving forward, and then we replace that tire.
Yeah.
Right.
So we don't sit there and accuse or
No, there's no
try to
fault.
blame
It's-
anyone. We say, hey, we're sorry. We'll fix this problem. Sometimes we've taken money off their bill.
Aaron,
If
100%.
we'll do what we think is right, regardless of the cost to us, to make that situation better and show that obviously we're human, but
Keeping
we're gonna
up our
try to do
reputation.
we're gonna try to
Right.
do the right thing. So
It's our name on the line.
I would say to the young lady that messaged in, if contact your roofer if you've noticed that.
Yep.
Whoever put that roof on, we don't have to say any names or anything, but get a hold of them and say, hey, this is a problem.
Maybe
Can
have
you
your guys come
back
back out
and do another sweep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a
for
little
us.
sweet. That's it. And
Yeah.
those little things, the little things like that, they matter. They matter. So
Right.
we
Yeah.
completely understand.
So I think we'll kind of pivot from there and kind of wrap this thing up. I believe is kind of our goal here. Grant, I guess I'll ask you. Why did we start this podcast now, and what do we think the listener should take away from it?
We've had this idea for a while, or you have, and you brought it to our attention. But I think starting this podcast is really, yes, we're going to talk about roofing and the industry of roofing, but I think just to give back to people who are maybe looking to get into being entrepreneurs or running a business or learning about marketing or insurance or all these different things that involve being an owner or manager in a business. It doesn't just have to be roofing. We're going to bring people on this podcast that are outside of our realm and learn from them. I think, the more we can learn from each other, the better. And bounce ideas off each other's. We do that with companies in St. Louis and wherever we're at a conference. We always meet other companies. They help us, and we learn, and we've grown actually by implementing things we've learned at conferences. So
Yeah.
So I think just in general, this learning, it might be something as simple as, how do you start an LLC? Like, that's step one, right? Like,
Yeah,
figuring
there
out
could-
what you want to do, and then step one is you need to create
For
an
sure.
LLC.
And there could be a listener out there that's
yeah.
wanting to go into business for themselves.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not roofing related. Maybe it's like some of our other guests that are going to be coming on.
Yeah.
Which we'll name right here at the end. But
Yeah.
maybe they have an idea and they're like, well, how do I even get started?
Right.
And maybe they'll pull a little nugget from one of our, from us or one of our guests.
Yeah.
On what they need to do inside of their business. And
A little nugget, is that what you just
little
said?
nugget. And then for me, I always say it. We always talk about marketing and different things, and
Yeah.
all this money that we spend, and we spend a lot. We spend a fortune on marketing, and we have, and I don't know if I've said it earlier, but we have people contact us all the time trying to get us to, spend money with them. They'll call and like, hey, you want to sponsor this team, or you want to be on this billboard, or you want to be on this ad, or do you want to be on this and that? And we spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Right.
And for me, the
Add a
purpose
couple
of
more
this is to bring
thousands.
other, small business owners in our area, bring them on, let them share their story, and hopefully be known by the community without having to spend a bunch of money to do it.
Right.
We can share organically with each other, and hopefully our listeners, can maybe tune in and they'll be like, hey, I need that service,
Yeah.
Right.
and they'll see it through this, and reach out to whoever our guest is. And obviously they need a roof. They can always give us a call too. But
And I was also going to say, I hope that the listeners take away, from our podcast, that what we're giving out there is like, at the end of the day, we all had to take a leap somewhere of faith and to, hope that it worked out, right? Like you were going to give it 100% to, you know, own a business or start a company or do whatever. So if you're thinking about that, I hope at the end of this, you know, we'll give you little nuggets that you can implement into your life. But I hope that we also understand that if you don't try and take the leap of faith,
You'll never know.
it's never going to work. You know, you gotta do it. And so I hope maybe we can inspire somebody to just to go ahead and make that next step to
Anthony,
want to
has-
own a business or help manage a company or just step outside your comfort zone and whatever that may be. Because really, at the end of the day, we're all just humans. It's trial and error, right? You know?
how scared were you when you went ahead and pulled the plug and was like, I'm
gonna quit nursing.
gonna drop all the money that I have currently and buy in.
So I would say I don't ever want anyone to shy away from kind of taking
Yeah.
that next step. Because I always see all these memes and stuff where people's like, I'll do it one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Don't let that one day never become a day that you.
Yeah,
never
they're
get
like, I'll
there.
do that one day. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that. And instead of
I
doing
want to
that,
wait for this to happen.
you know, when
wanna
I decided to buy into the company, I didn't do that at all.
wait. Yeah.
I got the idea. I obviously, you know, you got to look at it. You don't need to make crazy decisions.
No.
But it's like I knew it was something that I wanted to do and I wanted to try, and I knew if I never did it, I would look back and say, what if?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of like analyzing and waiting weeks and months or years to make that decision, I just pulled the trigger and said, hey, I'm going to go all in because this is something I can be passionate about. You know, I loved working in real estate and things. I wanted to keep helping people, but my advice would be, you know, I was scared, obviously. I have a family. But my advice would be just to take that leap and do it.
Right.
Yeah.
The worst case, you know, you can revert back to what you were already doing and keep moving forward. Now, don't put yourself in a compromising position,
Of
I would
course.
say, but
Yeah.
sometimes you got to take a little risk.
Sometimes you got to jump.
I bet literally every dollar I had. So, but
Lots of dollars.
I knew that I had internally the ability to, even if it didn't work out, I would figure it out.
Right.
So that's the thing. You got to be able to trust in yourself too before you,
Right.
you know, before you take the leap, you got to be able to trust yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
That way, if this doesn't work out, you know, I'm not that kind of person. I'm more of a plan A. Like, I'm going to figure it out kind of
Yeah.
guy. But
I think you just plan the best you can, do enough research, talk to enough people,
Yeah.
and
If you don't know
you know,
something, find somebody that does know them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
ask
that's-
them. That's just my biggest advice. I
that-
would say.
and that's what this podcast is going to be all about.
Yeah.
So all of our future guests that we bring on, our goal is to, you know, bring that knowledge from many different backgrounds and many different businesses and-
industries.
and
Yeah.
industries
Yeah.
For the listeners so they can maybe pick up something.
Yeah.
And if you ever have a question, you know, pop into the live, ask that question. Don't be afraid.
Yes.
And our goal is to hopefully get, you know, I'm thinking eventually we'll probably get too many to handle because we had, you know, quite a bit of, you know, this
We
is the
got
first.
some feedback. We got some feedback.
Yeah, this is the
yesterday.
first
Yeah.
one, but we will do our best to try to answer everything,
Yeah.
you know, honestly and as organically as possible.
Yep.
And you know, kind of wrap it up. We want to do a shout out
Yeah.
to our next guest. We'll do that every week.
Which we're excited.
Yeah. We'll do that next week. You know, he's a close friend of all of ours.
Good-
We've all kind of
good
worked
friend.
along with him, and we've watched his journey. But I'd like to give a shout out to James Macklin.
J-Mac.
Yeah,
J
J-
Mac.
our boy
That's what we like to
J-Mac.
call him.
Yep.
J Mac. He's the man.
Yeah, he's the real estate
Real estate barber.
Yep.
AKA your barber's barber. And, I know he has a bunch of different names for
Yeah.
himself, but he's coming on next Thursday, so we'll tune in live with him.
Yeah.
And you
Dig a little bit
knew-
into his
you knew
industry.
J-Mac
Yeah,
before,
so funny.
before the haircut
Funny
and
enough,
stuff,
J
right?
Mac and I were I played baseball in college my freshman year, and J Mac actually played basketball in college.
Oh, wow.
At the same college, so we met our freshman year of college, and so you know here we are, 15 years later, and still know each other. So
Yeah,
but
And
I
the
know
man's
he was.
king.
Good
I know
dude.
he was a
Yeah.
beast then, and
yeah,
he's been doing a lot of great things, you know, in the real estate space and
Yeah.
the barbering space. We've been watching, which obviously we don't want to share too much.
right.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he's
We'll let
coming
him
on. He
talk
has
about it.
he has
Yeah.
some big stuff happening in his life, and we're excited to be alongside him, you know,
Right.
during that journey. And we're gonna give him this platform to come and talk about it.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
everybody, make sure to tune into the live next week. Get the raw. You know, we can cut the podcast, and we can edit it and edit things out when we want. But on the lives, you know, you can't do
Keep
that.
it raw.
So,
And I like it.
yeah.
I like
So
it
tune into
raw.
our live. Ask those questions if you're wanting to get into barbering or real estate.
Yeah.
You know, ask those questions, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
All right.
And make sure to like and subscribe. You know,
Yeah.
we should have the link there at the top of top of the
YouTube.
page here.
Help the algorithm.
Yes.
Click it. Click
Hey,
it.
hey, listen, we don't know what we're doing, so we need all the help we can get.
Yeah.
So we're just figuring it out. But anyways, guys, we'll look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. Also, catch us this week at the fair.
SEMO
SEMO
District Fair. Yeah,
SEMO
SEMO
District
District.
Fair.
We're going to be at the booth inside the arena building. As you walk in, if any of the viewers here know the area, we'll be there with our big old tent and big old booth and giving out a bunch of stuff and
Yeah, we're doing a giveaway too.
doing some giveaways. Yeah.
Yeti cooler.
Yeti cooler
a
packed
dope-
full of, I believe, a crap ton of barbecue
Barbecue,
seasonings,
tongs, all
bunch
kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a whole setup for your grill. So
Yeah, it's like probably a $500-$600 value. So I would say come
Come stop by and put your name in.
That's more marketing for you. But I
Yeah,
just
pop out, guys. Pop
yeah,
out.
for sure. Well, thank you guys, and we will see you next week.
See you
All right,
guys.
See you guys. Thank you.